No shirt, no shoes, no service. You've seen the sign at various establishments as they proclaim their right to extend service to whom they choose or to whomever they do not. This is the old ethos. You cannot coerce my labor. If you can coerce my labor, then I become a slave. If you can coerce my labor at said price, I become a slave. And yet, the left continues to try to impinge on individual liberty, stating that you cannot refuse labor to anybody, unless you're them. So, for example, in Florida, very recently, a Fox News host, a black conservative, was asked to leave a restaurant based on his political views. He was not given service.
I go in, they're immediately asking me questions. How do you like working over at Fox News? Are you a conservative? And we talked about my brother, how he was murdered in Chicago last year in June, last month or yesterday made 7 months since he's been murdered. And a number of other issues like my pro-life stance, about progressive DAs who are exacerbating the crime issue. And the owner comes over to the table and says, I've been listening to your conversation. You are not welcomed here. And I said, oh, wow, did I say something that triggered you? She said, no, we are not politically aligned. I don't feel comfortable. You have to leave. I own this place.
And you think that this is acceptable for you, but a cake shop owner can be fined, can be taken to court because he refused to make a gay wedding cake. Or more recently, after that case was thrown out of court by the Supreme Court of the United States, siding with him, they went after him intentionally with transgenders who wanted a coming out party cake. He has the right to refuse service to absolutely anybody. And I, by the way, support the restaurant that didn't want to serve this black conservative for doing the same thing. I think that I, as an individual proprietor, can serve who I choose. And to force me to do so makes me a slave to you. You can go on and make an extreme case about some hotel in the middle of nowhere where there's no other lodging, food, water around for 100 miles and pose this as a test question. Whatever. We are talking about a common restaurant, a bakery, that are in no short supply in any major city. And the general principle of not being able to coerce your labor, my labor, the restaurant owner's labor. I think that what the owner did is entirely within his rights. I don't find it acceptable, but it's within his rights to refuse. And that includes, by the way, if you have a racist who doesn't want to serve the same black man. Of course, the left, that they're mostly racist. Maybe that was part of the reason. Who knows? But I think that that is perfectly fine underneath the law, underneath individual liberty. That doesn't mean that I would support the restaurant. That doesn't mean that I would go there. And you have the right to tell people about your experience, and maybe other people will not. But for Jack Phillips, the owner of Masterpiece Cake Shop, he absolutely has the right to refuse service for whatever reason he desires. Just go across the street. You're making a big deal out of nothing, but you want to ignore the restaurant owner that doesn't serve the black conservative because of his conservative beliefs. You think that that's okay. You would support that. This is the hypocrisy of the left on full display. Because once again, it is rules for thee, but not for me. Because we are the left, and we are dominant in the cultural realm, and claim to have the moral high ground. And anybody who questions this will be attacked with every ounce of strength of our collective, whereas a conservative, a libertarian, just keeps on walking to the next establishment like a sane person.